Hi everyone. Got to follow Mr. Bingo. That's a hard one. And I guess in Mr. Bingo's words, I've got a story to warm your cockles. So, I'm Umesh. I work at ustwo, and I'm going to talk to you about a project that we've done called Wayfindr. And in this project, we designed a service that helps independent travel for blind people, in particular kids. Now I'll go through the short case study, I'll give you a bit of background about ustwo, and then I'll jump straight into it. So I work at ustwo's London studio, and we launch valuable products and services and companies that make a measurable difference to the world. So this is our mission, if you like, our vision, and this is our consistent ambition across all of our studios. So we're fiercely independent, and we're able to kind of look at new revenue streams. So we kind of do our own ventures. So some of you, how many of you heard of Monument Valley? Sweet. Dice? Maybe not so much. I'm going to talk to you about the third one up there, which is Wayfindr, which is another one of our, if you like, ventures. So this was born out of a program that I run at ustwo called Invent Time. And Invent Time is ustwo's dream and do tank. We invest a percentage of our time and resources to see how we can improve or create kind of new digital experiences that can make a difference to people's lives. The twist to this is that we don't do this in a silo, but we work with domain experts and we validate our ideas with real users. And out of that was born a project called Wayfindr, and that's what I'll go through with you today. So early in 2014, we came across this, which is the RLSB's Youth Manifesto. And in this Youth Manifesto, they outline all the things that kind of young blind people in London face. So their challenges for everything from employment to transport to education. And we thought we'd kind of collaborate with them. Up here. Okay. Louder. And we thought we thought we'd collaborate with them to try and see how we can solve the challenge of transport, because that kind of enables them to freely go see their friends and get to work, because their unemployment's quite high in the vision impaired community. And so we came up with this vision with them. So Wayfindr is an open, scalable service that aids vision impaired people in getting to their destination independently. The service works by helping its users transition seamlessly between different modes of public transport. So we came up with that vision, and I'm going to play you a little video which kind of explains a little bit about our process and where this began, and then I'll kind of dig into the rest of the presentation.
There are an estimated 9,000 vision impaired children and young people in London and the South East, half of whom have difficulty using London's transport network independently to get to work or meet friends. The RLSB's Youth Forum and ustwo want to make the experience of travelling independently accessible to vision impaired people. We believe that if we succeed, vision impaired people will be able to travel without limit.
ustwo are a global digital product and service design studio. We've been working with the Youth Forum from the Royal London Society for Blind People on a project called Wayfindr. The aim of the Wayfindr project is to investigate how a young vision impaired person might use the London transport network in the near future.
Last year, RLSB set up their Youth Forum made up of vision impaired young people aged 16 to 25. The Youth Forum linked up with ustwo to explore potential solutions to the challenges they were facing.
What we really needed to do was to feel what it would be like to travel across London as a blind or vision impaired person. On the day we did a combination of simulation and observation. Doing the observations allowed us to see the issues at first hand. However, through the simulation, we got a glimpse into what it might feel like. So it was important for us to jump straight into prototyping and build upon our knowledge through making and experimenting. We decided to approach this using iBeacons. iBeacons are a low-powered transmitter that sends a small Bluetooth package at set intervals. It's kind of like reading a pulse wirelessly. By then placing beacons in known spots and using a smartphone, you can figure out roughly where you are in the space by comparing the signal strength between the beacons. Once we know where you are in the space, we can trigger directions at points throughout the journey. These directions are communicated via audio using the bone conduction headphones. that augment directions on top of what they're already hearing.
For the Youth Forum, being involved in the design of the solution to the challenges they identified has been incredibly important. Being able to use the perhaps negative experiences they've had to create something positive that has the potential to improve the lives of vision impaired young people across London. Being able to get our hands on a working prototype less than 2 months after the launch of the Youth Manifesto was really great in terms of being able to see their ideas come to life.
It was interesting to be able to walk without help, so it made me feel more confident, made me feel independent. Yeah, it's a good experience.
For more information, or if you'd like to get involved, please visit rlsb.org.uk/Wayfindr.
Thank you. So out the back of that, we got some great press around. We kind of got it Wired and TechCrunch and all the regular suspects. But we were lucky enough to get the attention of London Underground's technology and innovation team, who reached out to help us. And as if by fluke, we ended up in Pimlico Station earlier this year to do a live trial. So before we were just doing it in our studio, and this was like to validate whether it actually worked, we needed to do it in a real station, and they helped out. So we had 4 weeks, and we were like, what the fuck, how are we going to do this in 4 weeks? So we first needed to design some experiments, and we needed to take a build, measure, learn approach so we could quickly make use of the best time that we had while we were in there. So we started by planning a route and waypoints. So we specified tests for our participants at the station based on station visits and plans. We identified the significant waypoints where users needed to be instructed, and then we created a test script for audio instructions. In parallel, that was the user bit, in parallel with the technology, we did an initial installation of the beacons. We considered beacon positioning and orientation. I'll get into that in a minute. And we also tested out the turnaround time for beacon installation by London Underground night staff. So we were unable to put it up ourselves, but we had to work with them. So we'd give them instructions during the day. We would hope they would put them up at night so we could continue testing the following day. So it's quite a tight design cycle that we're running. So we conducted user interviews, and we pretty much avoided tech at this stage. So by day 2, we were interviewing real users, and we just read them off a sheet of paper just to quickly get an indication of whether it would work. And just that quick interview, we learned this. It's not easy to communicate distance with meters. So users who are born blind don't have a notion of measured distance. So if you would say to them, walk forward for 1 meter, they wouldn't understand. They don't have that notion. So we couldn't use that language. In addition to that, we tried to think about, okay, what if we tried to calculate strides? So if you kind of walked along, walked for 15 strides, that wouldn't work because it depends on kind of fatigue, effectively, how tired you are. In addition to, there might be lots of people around you, and we can't really calculate that precisely. We also learned, similar to the first point, it's difficult to walk diagonally. So you couldn't say walk diagonally to the ticket machine, because once again, they wouldn't have that concept to walk diagonally. So these are the challenges that we were playing with. And finally, last but not least, the terminology that TfL users don't use the same terminology. So TfL call the ticket barrier, is what I call it, they call it the gate line, so we need to kind of marry up that language. In addition, there were some matches up, so platform level, so users who are used to using lifts, who would say you've arrived at platform level, so we could use that language. Beacon, on the tech side of things, beacon orientation was important. So if a beacon's placed parallel to the direction of travel, you get a different signal to if it crosses the direction of travel. And you might think, what the fuck is he talking about? Well, it's kind of illustrated here. So if we run them parallel to the direction of travel on this diagram here, that looks rather phallic, you can kind of change the signal to kind of get a bit more of a hit rate, effectively, and it doesn't interfere with the other escalator going up. So we were able to design around this problem with the beacon. And then if we put them perpendicular to the direction of travel, we'll be able to catch a shallow and wider region so we can get people walking through the gates. So once we knew what sort of instructions users would be receptive to, in addition to knowing how we might use the beacons in the underground, we started to build out and prototype and test. So we built our first prototype and put the audio in and placed the beacons, and then we tested it for ourselves. So you might have seen in that video I was donning those kind of Tom Clancy type specs, so we had to try it on ourselves before we started to put real users through it. And then by week 2 we were testing with real users in the real setting, making real-time updates as we were going along, so we were able to kind of prototype and learn as we were going through the process. And over the course of the trial we worked with 12 young blind people. They all had different levels of impairment, and they needed to be different as in they have an awesome photographic memory. So after we run them through the trial like twice, they'll remember the route. So our results will be unvalidated after that, and they'll be doing it from memory. So we tested with people who used long cane. We tested with people who used guide dogs and other variants. And a few notable things from the testing were that, well, guess what? Like most things, less is more. So users like short and concise instructions. Information about the number and direction of stairs provided very helpful. Users' instincts and environmental stimuli were a big help for navigation. That's an important one. The last point, when we put the beacons up in the ticket hall, some of the users just walked straight by. We're like, okay, that's great. And then when we kind of quizzed them after it, we were like, did you hear the one in the ticket hall? They said no. And we said, how did you get to the ticket barrier? It turns out that they said, well, we could hear the ticket barrier. We don't need technology to tell us where the ticket barrier is. We know what it sounds like. So what we learned from that was we need to support the human capacity rather than use technology to purely solve this solution. And that was a big finding. Intermediate feedback is really helpful. So this feedback reassures the users that they're on the right track. And also, we had a beeping sound that attracts attention. So you can imagine in a noisy environment, trying to decipher that there's an audio instruction coming up. And because we're using bone conduction headphones, they were also able to use their normal hearing. And this is like a video that kind of puts all 3 of those principles into action. You can see how it might work.
You are halfway down to the ticket hall.
So, using Wayfindr. So I'll just go through about the components that were used in Wayfindr. So primarily, Wayfindr uses readily available off-the-shelf technology, and this is really important. We didn't want to use technology that might happen in the future or technology that's in progress at the moment. We wanted to do something right now and make the difference right now. So from kind of right to left, we were using beacons. In this instance, we were using estimate beacons, but you can use any beacons. We had bought a pair of bone conduction headphones from Amazon, which are about 30, 40 quid, and then any device that has BLE or Bluetooth. And we were using an iPhone in this instance because it has really good screen reader technology, and the blind community used them quite a lot. And the reason for using bone conduction headphones, it allows them to orientate themselves in the space. So imagine if you have your headphones plugged in, you're unable to take an idea of where you are in that space. So having bone conduction headphones helped a lot. So if you were there and you were to have done this demo, this is what it would have been like.
ustwo and the RLSB are trialling a service to allow vision impaired people to navigate independently on the London Underground. Using Wayfindr for spoken instructions, people can listen for prompts via their smartphones in new environments, allowing them to navigate freely. Here's how it works.
The beacon broadcasts an ID, which is received by a mobile device. The mobile device decodes the beacon ID, and navigation instructions are spoken to the user. A bit like this.
Welcome to Pimlico Station. Follow the ramp down to the ticket hall. You are halfway down to the ticket hall. Turn left and walk down the stairs. There are 9 steps. Bear right and walk forwards to the ticket barrier. You are approaching the barrier. The down escalator is straight ahead. You are approaching the end of escalator. Walk forwards to the end of the hall. Turn left for trains to Walthamstow Central. Right for trains to Brixton. You are now at the platform.
Thank you. And this was the feedback from the participants. So from Courtney we hear, it felt normal, it wasn't daunting at all. Over here from Kevin, wow, that was literally like someone guiding you through the journey. Curtis said, I enjoyed the freedom and independence of navigating myself. Bradley over here goes, would I use it? I definitely would. And one of my favorite participants, Terry over here, that was amazing. I'm not joking, I couldn't have done it myself. So we go back to the beginning around making a difference. So what are the benefits and how does Wayfindr ultimately make that difference? So Wayfindr removes the stress out of taking new journeys by giving the user informed clarity and empowers them to independently explore further afield. Wayfindr also lowers the barrier to entry. Users do not need expensive, bespoke assistive devices for wayfinding. And finally, Wayfindr supports the human capacity for wayfinding rather than creating a dependency on the technology. And that was the most important finding. So now what? What are the next steps? While we were there, we discovered a few things in the demo that we might have needed to make better. For instance, if they needed to replay instructions. So we tested a few gestures. And this was to like a double tap gesture if you were wanting to play the instruction back.
Turn left for the escalator. Turn left for the escalator.
We also identified you might get lost and what might you do if you kind of go off track. So we needed to think of a gesture that could be done quickly but doesn't kind of, you don't accidentally do it so then all the station staff come and find you. So we came up with this gesture which was tested as well.
Assistance is on its way.
So that's kind of an extension. We also looked at multimodal transport. So after the trial was over, we were asked to look at buses and road exchanges. So we could see how we could have an end-to-end journey which is consistent. You can see up here there's like kind of beacons up on the lamppost, kind of we were testing at street level. And finally, we're developing an open standard for sonic wayfinding along with the RLSB. So we're going to kind of open up the prototype and all the learning so any kind of wayfinding technology companies such as Google, we're speaking to them, Citymapper, etc., can embed this kind of learning into their product so that we can kind of make this consistent. I'm going to leave you with this overused but relevant quote from William Gibson. So the future's here but not evenly distributed. Now I'm on a personal mission to make them more distributed, make technology more distributed. So let's make products that are inclusive, not exclusive. Thank you.